dime size earring is enough, or the simple pearl, like what you have on right now, perfect. You know, rock those all the time on your earrings, okay? Pearl necklace on an interview is appropriate, or maybe a simple gold necklace, that's fine. All right, gentlemen, I know your watches are a really big thing for you, and you seem to think that the bigger the face, the better, okay? Again, think about the industry. And if your watch is more expensive than the person who's interviewing you, right, that can send a different kind of message as well. So be careful. Again, you can't go wrong with going with a conservative look. Yes?
Do you have opinions on wearing Apple Watch too?
Okay, Apple Watches are tricky, and this is a new time. That was an excellent question. I don't know if you heard it, but how do I feel about Apple Watches? They're tricky because if you're conditioned every time you feel that little vibration or whatever to do this, which a lot of you are, I would argue against using an Apple Watch. Now, if you can ignore it and it can just do its thing, or you can program it to silent or whatever, or don't light up when announcements come in, then fine. But I've sat in interviews with students, even in mock interview situations or appointments, and it's going off, and they keep looking at it. What do you think I think?
You don't care.
Or you're not paying attention, or what? You gotta go? You got someplace to be? I'm sorry, am I making you late? Because that's what I say. I'm like, oh, do you have to be at work? Like, is there an emergency? Because you're not giving me your undivided attention. Even when I go to lunches with employers, and our technology, and I have some more on this later, our technology has become like a part of us, right? Like we feel like we're not fully dressed unless we leave the house with our cell phone, right? Like we're like, oh, where's my cell phone, right? We have to figure out how to make this technology acceptable even in the workplace. So if I go to a business lunch and I have to meet with employers, yes, I have my phone out until I see them. So I'm looking for them, and I have to have it accessible because they might message me, they might call me. I need to know that they're trying to reach me. But the minute they're there, it's on silent, and I stick it in my bag. I think it's incredibly rude when you're sitting at a lunch meeting the whole time, it's up on the phone, like, or especially if it's facing you. Oh my goodness, and it's going off, and the person just keeps looking at it the whole time. It's like you're not giving me your full attention. So these are just simple things. Just put it away. Give that person your undivided attention, especially if it's an interview. Don't, I mean, if you have a family emergency or a situation that's going on and you need to have access to that phone, then I would preface it. I want you to know that I have a family emergency taking place, but I didn't want to cancel our meeting. I might just need to take a peek at my phone occasionally. And that's okay. But at least you're being forthright about it. That was a great question. Thanks for bringing that up. So, this is what you should not do, just so we're clear. All right, there used to be a show, and this was one of the main characters.
Drew Carey show.
What was it?
Drew Carey.
The Drew Carey show. Yes, this was quite the character. But your nails should be manicured. Your makeup, perfume, or cologne should be applied appropriately. Really, a lot of people overdo it with cologne and perfume, and you don't know, especially in hospitality, you don't know the allergy or the sensitivity of your guests. So, I mean, I've worked in kitchens where absolutely no perfume or cologne, especially because when you're tasting things, it affects your taste. So I had very strict chefs. It was just not allowed. Okay. Hair should be neatly styled. Tattoos should not be visible. I know tattoos, are popular and a hit. There are companies out there who don't want to see tattoos in the workplace. There are other companies like Graduate Hotels. Graduate Hotels is the only hotel chain right now that I've noticed that has a very progressive approach to this. All right? They don't mind if you have tats. They don't mind if you have the big piercings and the facial piercings and all that, and you can still work at their hotels, but that's the only one I've come across so far. Alright? Non-traditional piercings should be covered or removed. So when you're going to an interview, if you have a nose piercing or a tongue piercing or a lip piercing, you should remove that. Or if you have like piercings all the way up your ear, because as a teenager you just thought that was really cool and you just kept that look, right? Just remove the extra piercings and go traditional with the one in each ear. Right? After the interview, of course, you can go put them back in. Okay? Any questions on that? Usually right about now I get a question about ethnic hair. Alright? And I know that can be a sensitive topic. So, again, well kept, neat, groomed. Can't go wrong with that. Alright? So even if you have dreadlocks or an afro or whatever, it's just fine, just keep it neat and groomed. Right? It's okay. So, to recap professional dress, first impressions are the lasting ones. When in doubt, go conservative, because that's okay. Limit accessories. A suit is the most appropriate form of professional dress, and it's always better to be overdressed than underdressed for any interview. Even if it's an informational interview, you're just trying to get to know them a little bit, it's still better to be overdressed for that. And dress for the job that you want. Okay? You're looking dapper, by the way, man. Here we go. So business etiquette. Remember that you're the newest person on the team, right? When you're communicating in a new office environment, you really want to double check everything. There's an expression, dot your I's, cross your T's, like it's the double check, right? So triple spell check and grammar check everything. Limit your personal screen time at the workplace, right? Some of you, if you go into F&B especially, they'll have policies where you cannot have your cell phone. Like you literally have to check it in a locker, all right? Know your audience. Always understand the needs of the person to whom you are reporting and anticipate the future needs that they'll have down the road. So I know that suit yourself is coming, right? My boss didn't necessarily tell me to start letting students know about suit yourself, but I started doing it anyway because I knew that that was coming down the road. So sometimes you have to be, thinking proactively about what's to come. And that makes you have to be aware of what's on the horizon, right? Respond to communications promptly, respectfully, and in the same medium that you receive them. Now, there is a trick to this. So if my boss sends me an email, it is totally inappropriate for me to, I have her cell phone number, to be like, yeah, I'll get on it in a text message. It's just, no, I should respond to her via email, right? Now, if you think something can be misinterpreted in an email communication, what's the better thing to do?
Call.
Pick up the phone and call. Better yet, have a face-to-face conversation if you can, right? Because if it can be misconstrued in an email, and it's hard because email you can't always understand tone, right? So be careful about that. But if you think you're on the fence about something, pick up the phone, call, leave a message, they'll get back to you. Okay? Learn to navigate the organization's culture, and finally, treat all staff with respect and courtesy. That means even the janitorial and maintenance staff. They are no less, we need those people, especially in our industry. Okay? I'll never forget Cliff, the janitor at the first school that I worked at in the South Bronx. Cliff was my guy, okay? He had my back all the time. I got locked out of my classroom, a kid vomited on the floor, like he was my person, okay? And I knew I can count on him all the time. Had I not worked that relationship the right way, he could have very easily ignored me and made my job a lot harder. So think about that when you go in and there's a receptionist, or when you go in and you see someone, treat everyone with respect, okay? Especially because you never know, especially as managers, sometimes when that person's out, right, and you're short staffed, who's gonna have to get it done? Some of you are like looking at each other, I don't know. Not me. No, yes you. Yes you. Okay? If your staff doesn't show up, you know, and I've seen it here in the hotel. Like sometimes the management staff is in that bathroom like tidying it up. You know? Like we're hospitality. We have to still make sure that our property is functional. So with business communications, you still have to think about keeping it classy, right? There are a lot of different forms of communication. So there's the nonverbal communication, right? If even like me looking someone in the eye when they're speaking to me, that's saying something there because I'm making the eye contact and I'm connecting. I'm not saying anything, all I'm doing is listening, right? So be mindful of the nonverbal communication, the email, social networking sites, letters, memos, text messages, and telephones. So I'm gonna go into these a little bit more here. Nonverbal communications include your professional dress, your handshake, your expressions, facial expressions, and I know some people have a hard time controlling facial expressions. I know I do. I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I have to hold it together sometimes. Gestures, behaviors, and being on time are all methods of nonverbal communication. Any questions on nonverbal? Because this is a tricky one. You're like, well, does it really matter because I'm not really saying anything? Yes, it does. So, case in point, I had a student working a coat check with me at the career fair the other day, right? So he's taking the bags and the jackets and he's going and he's literally just plopping them down on a chair. And then he goes back to get the next one. What was the nonverbal communication taking place there?
Yeah.